In today's video, we uncover the shocking case of Stacy Hunsucker, whose sudden death first appeared to be a medical tragedy. Stacy Hunsucker, who was 32 years old, called Mount Holly, North Carolina, home. In high school, she fell in love with Joshua and they married. Together, they had 2 children, Piper and Willow. She was a great mother and a happy person according to everyone who met her. But something bad was going on behind this picture of happy family life. Stacy Robinson Hunsucker was born in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Her parents are John Robinson and Susie Robinson. Eric and Paul were her brothers, and Amy was her sister. When she was done with high school, she went to Gaston College and got an associate degree in paralegal studies. Before she went into teaching, which was what she really loved, she worked as a lawyer at Ted Grieve and Associates and Reagan & Reagan. Then she worked at the YMCA, then at First Baptist Charlotte's Preschool, and finally at First Methodist Preschool in Mount Holly. Shelley O'Day, her friend, said she was good at making crafts because she sold painted wooden signs. In the summer of 2018, O'Day went to Stacy's house to get a $50 welcome sign she had bought there. This is where she met Joshua Lee Hunsucker at work in a department store. She was 2 years taller than him, which was the first thing he noticed about her. For reference, Stacy was 5'11" and Joshua was 6'5". His advances were declined several times by her. Joshua didn't give up, though. He learned she played softball, went to her practice, and joined her team. Both were good players who had the chance to become professionals. Their friendship turned into love over time. The wedding took place in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in 2010. People thought they were happy because they had been together since high school. Their 2 girls, Piper Elizabeth and Willow Darlene, were born. It had been 7 years since Joshua started working as a flight nurse for Atrium Health's Med Center Air. He was confident and convincing because he used to play college football. Stacy gave up her job to care for her kids full-time. On weekends, Stacy and Joshua spent time with friends at shows and cookouts. According to O'Day, they were just a cute pair. They never got into a fight. Stacy had been a member of Mount Holly United Methodist Church all her life and took part in many events and groups there. She liked to make things, go to the beach, watch sports, and take pictures of herself and her girls. But problems were happening below the surface. After the birth of their first daughter, Piper, in February 2013, Stacy started having strange health problems that she couldn't explain. The signs weren't clear, but they were very scary. Her health seemed to be getting worse for no clear reason, which made doctors confused. After just 5 months in July 2013, bad things happened. Their house caught on fire, and most of the couple's things were destroyed. Both mentally and financially, the fire left them in a mess. The things they had worked for were taken away. Their friends came together to help the young family get back on its feet. Suzanne Steinbroner, a friend of the couple, started a GoFundMe page to help pay for the rising costs. The page would start to record Stacy's strange medical fall. Stacy's health issues, on the other hand, kept getting worse. After the birth of their second daughter, Willow, in November 2014, Stacy was taken to the hospital because her heart rate and blood pressure were too low to be safe. Her stay in the urgent care unit lasted several days. The medical team did many tests to try to figure out what was wrong, but they couldn't figure it out. There was a feeling that her body was being attacked by something beyond her sight. Suzanne added more information to Stacy's GoFundMe page about her health. Many tests later, she wrote, "The doctors still didn't know what was going on." Stacy was readmitted in January 2015 with a low heart rate. In this case, the situation became very dangerous to life. She had a heart attack as soon as she got to her room. Her heart just stopped beating. Doctors were scrambling to figure out what was wrong with this young woman while she was on a ventilator to help her breathe. As February 2015 came around, a choice was made that shocked everyone. A pacemaker was put in Stacy's heart. This was too harsh for a woman who wasn't even 30 years old yet. If someone so young needed a gadget to control their heartbeat, it meant that something very, very badly was wrong with her heart's electrical system. Not a soul knew at the time that these were not normal health issues at all. After looking back, it was found that all of Stacy's symptoms were consistent with being poisoned by tetrahydrozoline, a chemical that can have major effects on the heart and body and can even kill. The pattern had been there the whole time. Episodes of low blood pressure and heart rate that doctors couldn't explain. Sudden cardiac events that doctors couldn't figure out. and a young woman who had no family history of heart disease, who needed a pacemaker all of a sudden, Joshua would have known exactly what signs to look for because he had a lot of medical training as a flight paramedic. He would have been able to give the poison in amounts that wouldn't kill right away, but would make the person's health worse over time. Normal medical tests would not have shown it to him. That much he knew. He should have known that the doctors would say her heart was to blame, and not poisons. She always had to think about her mother, Susie. She would call her daughter right away to make sure everything was okay if she had a dream that something was wrong. She had the sense of a mother that something wasn't right, but she couldn't say what. Due to the medical issues, another terrible problem arose: crushing debt. Even though the GoFundMe effort helped, there was a lot of financial stress because of the hospital stays, specialist visits, surgery for the pacemaker, and ongoing care. The bills never stopped coming. Joshua was planning something much worse than anyone could have thought the whole time. He was poisoning his wife slowly and carefully, making a medical background that would make her sudden death seem normal, unsurprising, and inevitable. Later that same day, on September 23, 2018, Joshua called 911. He told the cops that he had found his 32-year-old wife not breathing. She was leaning against the side of the couch, but his story about what he was doing before he found her kept changing based on who he was talking to. He told cops at the scene that he had gone outside to make sure their cars were locked. He said that there had been a lot of car thefts in the area lately. He checked to make sure their cars were safe. The story made sense. That's not what he told one friend. He said he went for a walk to get some exercise. Yet another friend got a different story from him. This time, he said he had been cutting wood for signs in the backyard. There is a third story that goes against the first two. He told Susie, his mother-in-law, that he had been working on his laptop at the kitchen table while turning his back on Stacy. He said that when he turned around, he saw her lazily leaning against the couch. An additional account of what happened. 4 various stories. It doesn't matter what someone was doing when they found a loved one dead, as long as they are saying the truth. There is no such thing as lies. When rescuers got there, Stacy wasn't moving or responding. The color of her was blue. That woman wasn't breathing. Even though they rushed her to the hospital, it was too late. The police said that Stacy Robinson Hunsucker was dead. Everyone involved saw the cause of death right away: heart arrest. She had heart issues that were well known. She was fitted with a pacemaker. She had had strange heart problems in the past. The local cops thought it was a natural death, that the young woman's heart had just stopped beating. It was sad, but not suspicious. However, Joshua's actions in the following hours and days showed that there was something very wrong. He wouldn't let the doctor do an autopsy, even though Stacy had signed up to be an organ donor, and it was very odd for someone to refuse to have an autopsy. He was adamant about it. However, Joshua was adamant and wouldn't give in. The body of Stacy was burned within 2 days. The speed was really fast, almost rude. Most families take weeks to plan. Cremations because they need time to deal with their sadness, say goodbye properly, and make thoughtful plans. Joshua burned her alive almost right away, as if he couldn't wait to get rid of the proof of what he had done. Joshua also made a claim on her $250,000 life insurance coverage in the same 2 days. In fact, there were 2 policies, one for $200,000 that could pay $100,000 in damages twice, and another for $50,000. Joshua only gave him one of each. The plans for the funeral told their own sad story. Not Stacy's husband, but her parents planned and paid for her burial. Joshua didn't seem involved in any way. He was more like an observer than a mourning widower. He acted like he wasn't sad about the death of his wife of 8 years and the mother of his 2 young girls. Julia McDonald was hired by Joshua to watch Piper and Willow after Stacy's death. What she saw over the next few months was very upsetting. She later told CBS 48 Hours reporter Peter Van Sant exactly what she had seen, and what she said was very scary. She told him she had never seen him sad. It never happened. Not once. He wasn't upset. The man didn't look sad. It didn't look like he missed his wife at all. He was actually very happy. He was pleased with his new partner, Jennifer Elkins, a co-worker who everyone called Jen. It was always them touching each other. Jen was always the focus, Kaylin said. They always talked about moving in together and their future together. Not the house that Joshua and Stacy had lived in together, but a brand new one starting over. Joshua didn't talk about his dead wife very often. He did not say that he missed Stacy. He never said that he missed the girl's MoMA. His daughters never heard him talk about his memories of her. It seemed like Stacy had never been there. She had been erased from their lives. It was hard for Kaylin to understand. After her own father died, she couldn't stop talking about him and remembering good times with him. She wanted to keep his memory alive. 6 months after Stacy's death, Joshua and his 2 young girls were around his new girlfriend. He had lived in the house with his wife before she moved in. It was the house where Stacy had died and the bed where Stacy had slept. It seemed like she was just filling in for Stacy, taking on a part that had been left open. People who work with Joshua at Atrium Health's Med Center Air had also seen the same troubling trend. Investigators were told that Joshua didn't seem to be moved at all by the death of his wife. In their report to the police, they were very worried about how quickly he had moved on with his girlfriend, how noticeable she was, and how well she fit into his life. The speed was rude, crazy, and out of line. According to them, he seemed unfazed, as if Stacy's death were just a bother and not a tragedy, like he was waiting for it to happen. After that, there was the cash. People in the community were shocked when Joshua went on a shopping spree after getting the $250,000 from Stacy's life insurance policies. A boat worth between $80,000 and $100,000 was the one he bought. Later, the judge would say that the buy worried him and tell Joshua's lawyer that he would go back to jail if he tried to hide it. He went on several pricey trips with his new girlfriend. The couple is going on trips they couldn't afford when Stacy was living because they were too busy paying off medical debt. After getting insurance money, they were living it up, traveling, and spending a lot of money. That day, he paid off the family's $215,380 debt on their 1,516-square-foot home in Mount Holly. These expenses were listed in the wrongful death case that Stacy's parents later filed. They painted a picture of a man who was thrilled to be free, thrilled to have money, and thrilled to start a new life with his mistress. Susie, Stacy's mom, saw these as huge, obvious red flags. Joshua had been seeing this woman before her daughter died, she found out. While Stacy was still living and fighting for her life in intensive care units, the affair went on behind her back. The life insurance claims were made just a few days after Stacy died, before the funeral even happened. In Susie's mind, the random insurance claims, the rejection of an autopsy, the immediate cremation, the new girlfriend who had been there the whole time, and her daughter's years of strange health problems that no doctor could explain were all starting to fit together. The boat, the trips, and the lack of any sadness. Definitely something was wrong. Susie Robinson did something that would change everything in May 2019, 9 months after her daughter died. She called the insurance department of North Carolina. She said her son-in-law was guilty of theft. She thought he had killed Stacy for the insurance money so he could date his lover without having to go through the trouble of getting a divorce. This mom's instinct didn't tell her that this simple action would lead to a full-on murder case that would reveal the horrible truth about what had happened to her daughter. Commissioner of Insurance Mike Causey said that the case was sent straight to their criminal investigation section when Susie Robinson sent the tip. The local police force first said that Stacy had died of a natural cause, a heart attack. There is nothing fishy. No more changes needed. Put it in a folder. The insurance inspectors weren't happy, though. They would look further. Things would be questioned by them. The proof would lead them anywhere. Detectives from the North Carolina Department of Insurance's Criminal Investigations Division, the Gaston County Police, and the Department of Homeland Security made up the strong team. Lisa Morgan, a special agent, was given the job. In the course of her investigation, she found something that was truly essential. Stacy was an organ donor, so the LifeShare Donor Center kept a sample of her blood until she was cremated. This was normal procedure for organ donors, done to speed up the donation process and make sure the donors and recipients were compatible. But the one piece of proof that Joshua hadn't planned for, hadn't counted on, and couldn't destroy would make the difference between justice and a perfect crime. A sample of blood was sent to a lab for full toxicology tests. Normal tests for drugs and poisons came back clean. There is nothing strange or odd going on. However, the police did not end their work there. In order to find substances that wouldn't usually be on a regular toxicology panel, they asked for more specialized tests and a wider screening. The outcomes were truly shocking. According to Mike Causey, Stacy's blood had small amounts of poison in it. The poison was tetrahydrozoline, a drug that is used in eye drops to make them less red. But that level wasn't helpful, and it wasn't something that would be expected from normal use. It had 30 to 40 times the amount that is recommended for health. These levels weren't consistent with someone using eye drops as recommended or taking in a small amount by accident. Those amounts could only have been reached by poisoning someone over and over again in a planned way. Forensic toxicologist Demi Garvin looked over the results and became more and more worried. She said that because tetrahydrozoline was present in that amount, it had to be looked into further. It was like Mickey Finn in current times, where something is put into a drink without the person's permission. It would be especially dangerous for someone with Stacy's known heart problem, someone with a pacemaker, or someone whose heart was already weak. Her weakest point, her most susceptible system, would be hit by the poison, which would make her death look like any other terrible heart event. It's also very important to note that normal toxicology screens don't usually check for it. It's not usually on the list of things that doctors look for when they think someone has been poisoned. You will not find tetrahydrozoline unless you are looking for it directly, know what you are looking for, or have a good reason to think you might have found it. You can't see it. In the end, North Carolina State Attorney Jordan Green told the court that the drug has a very bad effect on the heart and can stop the heart from beating or cause it to fail. It wasn't a mistake. That was a cold-blooded murder that was planned ahead of time. As a flight paramedic since 2013 and someone with a lot of medical training, Joshua Hunsucker would have known a lot about medicines and how they affect people. In court papers, it was made clear that his education and experience would have given him a deep knowledge of different kinds of drugs and how they might affect the body. His job also gave him access to drugs that were not controlled and did not need to be logged or kept track of. He knew what to do, had the tools, and had the chance. The investigation quickly grew. Detectives started talking to Joshua's family, friends, co-workers, and anyone else who might know something. They found out more about the case, which made it even scarier. Something important had happened about 20 miles south of Mount Holly about 2 weeks before Stacy's death. In August 2018, Lana Sue Clayton, a nurse, was jailed for giving her husband Stephen Clayton eye drops that were poisonous. Clayton admitted that she put eye drops in her husband's water 4 days in a row until he died. In the Charlotte area, the story got a lot of attention from the media. It was talked about by everyone. In court papers, it was said that prosecutors said there were a lot of similarities between that case and Joshua's. Their jobs were both in the medical field. Both of them were murdered at home by their spouses. It was first thought that both deaths were caused by natural reasons. Both used poisoning with tetrahydrozoline. Court papers said that Joshua put eye drops in Stacy's water without her knowing and exposed her to lethal amounts of tetrahydrozoline just days after learning about the case in South Carolina. It was more than that. Detectives talked to Joshua's old co-workers at Atrium Health's Med Center Air as part of their probe. Before he killed Stacy, Joshua told 2 co-workers that he would use Vicine or another eye drop to do it. There were no jokes or pointless comments here. The threats came from a medical worker who knew exactly how it worked. He had told them exactly how he would kill someone if he ever got the chance. After the South Carolina case got a lot of attention from the media, Stacy Robinson Hunsucker died soon after. This murder was planned and thought out. On December 19, 2019, Joshua Lee Hunsucker was caught at home in Mount Holly. He was charged with murder in the first degree. Joshua was also accused of felony insurance theft and getting something by lying about who he was. He was getting benefits worth $250,000, even though he was said to know that he killed his wife and killed her. $2 million was put down as bond for him. He paid the bond and was freed on Christmas Eve 2019, only 5 days after being arrested. He was told not to use the insurance money because of a temporary protection order, but he found the money anyway. That release would turn out to be a terrible, terrible choice. Joshua's behavior got worse and more dangerous while he was out on bail. Later, District Attorney Travis Page said that the suspect would keep doing more dangerous things. Eventually, he would be proven right. Joshua started targeting Stacy's parents, John and Susie Robinson, with constant attacks. He regularly took pictures and videos of them at their granddaughter's sports games. He mailed them packages telling them to drop the murder case. In his car, he followed them and drove by their house several times. He used bad language and body language towards them in the church parking lot where they went. The constant threats were meant to scare them into silence. Later, on February 4th, 2023, Joshua faked his own arrest. He told cops that he had been hit in the head several times with a pistol while stopping to change a flat tire. He said his hands were zip-tied and he was injected with something we don't know. He told the cops that his attacker was Stacy's dad, John Robinson. He was trying to make his father-in-law look like he had attacked and kidnapped someone. The Mount Holly police did a full investigation. There was no proof for any part of Joshua's story that they could find. They found out he made up the whole thing to put the blame for his wife's death on the Robinsons. Insane and desperate, the cops were able to see right through it. But Joshua didn't end there. Not long after the fake theft in February 2023, Joshua poisoned his own 11-year-old daughter, who got very sick and had to go to the hospital. The test showed that she had the same chemical in her body as Joshua, along with a tranquilizer that isn't meant for kids. This is the same drug that was found in Joshua's truck. During her treatment, Joshua told the doctors that she thought she looked like she had been given Vicine. The medical staff said this wasn't a likely diagnosis based on her complaints. Authorities think Joshua poisoned his daughter to put the Robinsons on trial and get them out of his daughter's life. A judge found in July 2024 that Joshua had abused his daughter and not taken care of either of his other children. In August 2024, he was caught again for trying to scare witnesses. His bond was revoked in November 2024, and he is still in jail without bail. Bad things happened. Seriously, it was horrible. It was a sign of how far he was willing to go to avoid being responsible. A few weeks before he was arrested for murder, on November 26, 2019, Joshua is said to have set fire to medical equipment on an Atrium Health chopper over Charlotte. He lit a syringe pump on fire aboard the chopper at 12:59 a.m. Due to the fire, there had to be an emergency landing at a car lot on Independence Boulevard. No one got hurt. Joshua was charged with setting a fire illegally. The time was very important. This took place less than a month before he was charged with murder. Police thought Joshua knew he was going to be arrested soon, and that the fire was another desperate attempt to cause trouble. Atrium Health released a statement expressing shock, saying they couldn't understand what could have driven him to put people in such grave danger. Joshua had also been put on administrative leave for allegedly bad behavior at work before he was arrested for murder. He lost his job at Atrium Health's Med Center Air the day after he was arrested in December 2019. He had worked there since 2013. The intended date for Joshua's trial was March 2025, but prosecutors said that because of recent events, it might have to be moved to autumn 2025. After Joshua was arrested for the first time, Stacy's family put out a strong statement through their lawyer that showed how determined and hurt they were, saying, "We won't stop until justice is done. Your beautiful girls, Piper and Willow, will have our full support and care." Kelly, who has known Stacy since high school, told her that she did not deserve this to happen to her. She was an excellent mom. She had a good attitude. According to a letter sent by Stacy Robinson in April 2020, Stacy was missing a lot of important events. "I'm so sorry you can't be here for your pumpkin's birthday party. I gave both of your girls an extra hug today just for you." The case showed how important it is to look into scams to find murderers. Mike Causey, the commissioner of insurance, thought, "Who would have thought that an investigation into insurance fraud could turn into a full-on murder investigation?" Joshua would have committed the perfect crime without Stacy Robinson's mother's sense and the blood sample that was kept safe from organ donation. Stacy Robinson Hunsucker was a loving mother, teacher, and church member. Her favorite things to do were make crafts, visit the beach, watch sports, and photograph her children. Her smile made everyone who knew her feel happy and at ease. Joshua is still in Gaston County Jail without bond as of November 2024. His two girls, who are now about 12 and 14 years old, are no longer in his care. John Robinson and Stacy Robinson are still fighting over who gets to keep their grandkids. Justice has not yet been done, but one thing is for sure: Stacy Robinson Hunsucker will not be forgotten. This case shows how dark and unpredictable people can be. Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe for more true crime content. Until next time, stay safe.